All right. So this is the Avatamsaka Sutra. And like I said, it's the king. It's the king of sutras. I mean, look at that. It's the size of the full Bible, right? Uh, it has its own uniqueness to it. There's a story element to it, but it's largely a way of seeing the world that we are not accustomed to. And in order to really get the most out of this sutra, you have to have a mind that is open to repetition, because it's got a lot of repetition to it. And it's through the repetition that we start to think differently. And that's why what we're doing, shikantaza, we're just continually doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And so the Avatamsaka Sutra is sometimes referred to as the theory behind Zazen. And Zazen is referred to as the practice of the Avatamsaka Sutra. All right, so when we're doing Zazen, we're practicing what the sutra says. But it doesn't make sense to do Zazen in a world where we don't understand the Avatamsaka, where we don't know the Avatamsaka Sutra. Because what world are we living in? We're living in a world of separation, a world of war. And the Avatamsaka Sutra is a world of unity. It's a world that embraces diversity. And it's a world that embraces multi-layered visions of how we can be, and of spiritual progress, and of ways of understanding and using the mind that we, prior to reading this, would never guess that could be possible. Now, when I read this stuff, I'm blown away because I'm not even near it. But what I love about it is when I read it, I think, wow, there's so much room to grow. There's so much more that I just didn't get. And it inspires me to go deeper into my practice. So we could enter this. So lately, I've just been opening it up at random and just reading a paragraph, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what did I just read? Now I decided I opened up to this one chapter yesterday. So I'm really a novice at this whole book, but I've been reading it and tasting it for the past 20 years since my teacher, actually before my teacher even introduced me to it. I was introduced to it in Tassajara for the first time, and I heard other people reading it. I was like, wow, I need to read that. Because when you start to go insane because of the world that we live in, when you start to go insane, you open this book and you know that there's another path. We're no longer those flies at the window, keep on crashing into the same spot on the window. Realize there's another way out. There's another way out. And here it is. So this particular, again, I've just read a little bit of this particular chapter. This is book 34. And the title of it is The Ocean of Physical Marks of the 10 Bodies of the Buddha. The 10 bodies of Buddha. The ocean of physical marks. So what I love about this is it connects our physical body with the highest realms of divinity and spirit that you can possibly imagine. It just you wouldn't believe the subtlety it goes into in the human body, connecting it with just the spirit, the sense of this divine spiritual world that it's describing. So, okay, let's look at this. Then, and I also want to invite you. So now this is about the Buddha. This is about the Buddha's marks. What are his marks? His physical qualities. But actually, if we really want to connect with it, we have to imagine that it's talking about ourselves, our own body, and a way of seeing our own body. Because that, again, the Zazen is the practice of the Avatamsaka Sutra. And what does Zazen say? Zazen says we sit as Buddhas. But what does that mean? Well, here, this book gives a description of what it means to sit like a Buddha. So let's look at it. Let's see what it says. Here it says, then the great enlightening being, that's another word for bodhisattva, an enlightening being, universally good. So this is a being who wishes to end the suffering of others, even before his own or her own, said to the enlightening beings, said to other bodhisattvas, said, I now will tell you about the ocean of marks of the Buddha. On top of the Buddha's head, there are 32 marks of great people adorned with jewels. Among them is a mark of greatness called light, illumining all regions, radiating immeasurable webs of great beams of light. All right, so the Avatamsaka Sutra is full of light. Light, 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 light. Let there be light. Right? Let there be light. And where's the light emanating from? It's not in a distant place, right? Yeah, it's not in a distant place. It's right here. It's not just right here. It's from each one of us. And that's why you get images of the Buddha surrounded by light. And that flag, the Buddhist flag, you saw the Buddhist flag outside of our house? Its flag was developed by Colonel, what is his name, Colcott or something. A colonel that lived in Southeast Asia, and he studied Buddhism, and he saw, this was in the 1940s or so, I'm not sure if that date is right, but all kinds of different Buddhist schools. Colonel Olcott?
It's just name.
That's his name, yeah. So this guy, he was an American, and he was studying Buddhism in different countries. And he saw that he saw tremendous potential in Buddhism, and he saw that it was not unified in the way, say, something like Christianity had been unified. And so he thought that one way to unify Buddhists around the globe was to make a Buddhist flag. And so the Buddhist flag has these 5 colors to it. And those colors represent the aura around the Buddha, the different auras that envelop the Buddha. So anyways, this is just referring to the top of the Buddha's head. But as we go through it, you'll see it goes into great detail in other parts of the body of the Buddha. But the beginning focuses on the head. And why do you think it focuses on the head?
The seat of our consciousness. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know, but
Maybe it was sensors?
It could very well be the senses. I was thinking, if nothing else, when you keep focusing on the head, there's a certain degree of concentration that develops. So you might get tired of listening about light, hearing about light, but it keeps referring back to different parts of the head in a meditative way. And every time you return your attention to the same spot, something happens. That's where the concentration begins to build, right? So again, this is the theory. This is the theory of Zazen. Let's look. Among them is a mark of greatness called light, illumining all regions. Radiating immeasurable webs of great beams of light. It is adorned by all exquisite jewels, covered with jewel hair, soft, dense, and fine. Each hair, right? Radiating jewel lights, filling all the boundless worlds. This is an example of how interconnected we all are. One hair on top of our head, connecting with the vast universe.
Well, now I'm much more confused. How you can connect if you shave your heads?
That's a good question. Yeah, how do we connect if we shave our head? That's a whole other question. Right, well, that's right, that's a good point. It means whoever grows their hair longer is gonna be more connected.
Oh, you want it.
You see it?
You want
You got it, baby, so don't worry, you can have your hair.
it. So,
You can have your hair and keep it too. Each hair, all right, radiating jewel lights filling all the boundless worlds, manifesting embodiments of Buddha in all, complete with all the marks of Buddhahood. This is the first. This is the first mark, right? Next, there is a mark of greatness called clouds of light of the Buddha eye. Now we go into the eye, the Buddha eye. It is variously arrayed with the finest gems, producing a golden light like the light emanating from the curl of hair between Buddha's eyebrows. There's said to be a curl. That's one of the marks of the Buddha is that he has a curly hair right between his eyebrows.
Oh,
One of the marks of the Buddha, that curl. All right.
shave those off.
We shave those. Yes. That light illuminates all worlds. Right? This is the second. Well, let's just take a moment to think about all the hairs on our head, right? Illuminating light. The eyes illuminating light. Right? Just sit with that for a second. Like there's just the imagine. We need to invoke our imagination here when we're sitting, right? Even it doesn't matter if we agree. It's not about agree or disagree. It's just right. It's a practice. Practice seeing the light shining from the hairs on your head, from the eyes in which you see, right? That light is going out and is connected to the entire world. Just sit with that for a second. I'll ring the bell. All right, here's the next one. The next couple, right?
Look, you have more here. I feel more like for you.
it's all hidden now.
Next, there is a mark of greatness called clouds filling the cosmos. Clouds filling the cosmos. It is arrayed with discs of the finest jewels and radiates the light of the lamp of virtue and knowledge of the enlightened, illumining the oceans of worlds in all universes, making all Buddhas and enlightening beings visible. This is the third mark. All right. There is a mark of greatness called clouds manifesting universal illumination, variously adorned with gold and jewels. Right, we get these jewels, the gold. Those exquisite jewels all radiate light, illuminating inconceivable numbers of Buddha lands, with all the Buddhas appearing therein. This is the fourth.
Rainbow.
Rainbow, yeah. Next, there is a mark of greatness called radiating clusters of jewel lights with pure arrays of diamonds and flowers of lapis lazuli, their light shining on all worlds in the 10 directions, therein manifesting all kinds of mystical projections, extolling the past practices, wisdom, and virtues of the enlightened. This is the fifth. Next, there is a mark of greatness called manifestation of clusters of great powers of Buddha pervading the cosmos, crowned by crystals of flames of jewels in the configurations of mystical projections of enlightening beings, ringed with wheels of light of flames of jewels containing the power of the Buddha, enlightening all. Those lights illuminating the worlds of the 10 directions, making manifest therein all Buddhas sitting on the site of enlightenment, clouds of all knowledge filling infinite worlds throughout space. This is the sixth. So we can, in our practice, this light that is illuminating the world, is illuminating all the sites of enlightenment of all the Buddhas. So we, again, employ our imagination here, and we know about the historical Buddha, and it's said that, anyway, that he sat under the tree of enlightenment. That was the enlightenment site, and that site is still honored today. You can go to Bodh Gaya and see the tree of enlightenment there. Maybe it's great-great-grandson or daughter. But that's not the only place the Buddha was enlightened, right? There's many Buddhas, and they have enlightenment sites over here and over there, and even right here. In fact, the seat that we sit on is called the Enlightenment Throne, right? So everywhere, it's not you sitting; it's the Buddha, attaining enlightenment. So we can use this time. Imagine everybody who's sitting right now in this room, but all throughout the earth, wherever anybody's sitting, that's the Enlightenment Throne. Right? We can see they're just generating light after light. Let's sit with that for a second. Let's sit with that. So this is the yoga of the mind here. We stretch our mind to go beyond our skin. Oh, listen to this one. Next, there is a mark of greatness called multitudes of universal lamps of the enlightened, adorned by a sea of jewels of great power that can shake all lands in the cosmos. Can you feel the earth shaking? If you can't, you gotta sit a little bit more concentrated. Come on. It can shake all lands in the cosmos, emanating pure light, filling the cosmos, showing therein the oceans of virtues of the enlightening beings of the 10 directions, and the oceans of standards of knowledge of the Buddhas of past, present, and future. This is the 7th. All right, let's feel the earth shaking. All right, this earth is shaken. All right, can you feel it shaking? Oof. All lands are shaking with your practice. All right, let's sit with that. Sit on my chair if you will. Sit on the chair. No. Yeah, okay, well let's transition to walking meditation, and I'll read you some more here while you're doing walking meditation, and we can just kind of make a circle right around here, and yeah, feel free to stretch out your legs. We're going to move, we can spend several hours on this, so let's give your legs a little rest, and you can practice walking meditation as we usually do. But while you're practicing it, think about some of these things I share here about walking.
I like it because he's talking about the marks of the Buddha's body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, you don't leave your body behind.
You don't leave your body behind, yes. No. Yes. And actually, if you keep, there's several pages here and it goes through different parts of the body. But let's do the one about the Buddha's feet and legs.
I kind of feel it's more for you guys than for me, because I kind of feel I'm not on the stage. I on the stage receive, but not not kind of produced any lights because I don't have any yet. So,
yeah, don't worry about it.
well, it's about also ethical. If you don't have it, don't pretend you have it. So,
Right.
so if I don't have it, I can't say I give it to you.
Right.
So, I don't understand.
No, it's okay. You don't have to understand
The
it.
beautiful thing is though is that you're hearing and trying. You're keeping an open mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, people will do with this what they want, but yeah, I want to invite you guys to stand up, and I'll read some more to give your legs a stretch. And you know, as you're walking, I'll give you some places to think about here. And you know, to your point, Alex, I think you're making a good point, because for a lot of people, this is too much. It's like overboard with imagination.
No, it's not too much. It's mean I can give something wisdom if I don't have this wisdom again.
Right.
Like to
No,
imagine you give the light like you have something to give to the world, and I don't feel like
you don't feel it, right? That's okay.
Something to give. It's
right. I think a lot of people are in the same boat. It's okay. I'm just sharing this, and but you can still practice. So if it doesn't make sense, right? If this doesn't make sense, it's okay. We just practice it. And we can practice walking meditation, and you can disregard what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what kind of, when I have it, so I will already know how to do it.
I'm learning to, I don't know.
All right. So, yeah, please go ahead and start walking meditation, and I'll share this, and you do with it what you want. But here, the soles of Buddha's feet have a mark of greatness called cloud of arrangements of the ocean of all enlightening beings, diamond colored with pure lotus blossoms of gold, radiating jewel-like light, illumining all oceans of worlds in the 10 directions, with clouds of jewel-like fragrant flames reaching everywhere. When he lifts his foot to take a step, a fragrant air circulates, replete with the colors of all jewels filling the cosmos. This is the 85th. On Buddha's right instep is a mark of greatness called cloud of light, shining on everything, adorned with all kinds of jewels, radiating great lights, filling the cosmos, showing all Buddhas and enlightening beings. This is the 86th. On Buddha's left instep is a mark of greatness called Cloud of Manifestations of All Buddhas, adorned with jewels, emanating jewel light moment to moment, showing the miraculous displays of all Buddhas, as well as their oceans of teachings and the enlightenment sites they sit at, this continuing unbroken forever. This is the 87th. Between Buddha's right toes is a mark of greatness called Cloud of Light, illuminating all oceans of universes, variously adorned with diamonds, like mountainous lamps, and thousand-spoked wheels of flames, radiating great beams of light, filling the oceans of worlds in all universes in the 10 directions, showing therein the various forms of precious adornments of all Buddhas. This is the 88th. Between Buddha's right toes. Have a seat when you're ready. At this point, it might be helpful to give a little bit of more background to the Avatamsaka Sutra. It is, so you can see it goes into great detail here, right? The left instep, the right instep, the space between the toes. How many of us actually think about those things when we're doing walking meditation? Now you know what to do. Yeah, our instructions are limited, right? You read this stuff and you get a more fuller picture of what we're practicing and what's going on, We're just thinking about the bottoms of our feet. That's okay. That's a start. And it's good. You know, you got to ground yourself. And maybe for some people, it's probably not good to know about all of these different lights. But we have to distinguish between, how do I say this? Well, first of all, let's just think about what the image of what the Avatamsaka Sutra is trying to get at. So the image of the Avatamsaka Sutra is of what's called Indra's net. And an Indra's net, on each place where the net crosses, there's a jewel with millions of faces on the jewel. And each jewel reflects all of the jewels in the net. But the net itself is infinite in size. It doesn't have a beginning or an end. And within each jewel is a reflection of all of the jewels in the entire net. All right. So that is a symbol for how we as human beings, this body-mind complex, also is like one of those jewels in the net. And within us, we are reflecting all of the other jewels throughout the cosmos. All of that is within us. So in other words, our body doesn't end at our skin. Right? This is the teaching. Another way of talking about this is the teaching of no self. A lot of people get confused by this teaching of no self, and they think it's self-annihilation, but it's actually that, you know, that this body is coextensive, it extends throughout the entire universe. And this has implications for how we live our life, because it means that what we do matters. It affects what we do, actually gets reflected in all the other jewels throughout space and time, even beyond our understanding. Beyond our understanding. If we try to understand it, I mean, we can try to understand it, but it just leads the mind to infinity, where you just, you know, rational thinking breaks down to a certain degree, and you're just left with your mouth wide open.
I think concept, what we do reflect to others, it's easier to understand. And I think everybody probably agree with this. But question what we reflect, what it really is, because you take any, what's a dark person in the world, he will tell you, I just try to do best, I just try to help the people. It's like, we take Nazis, we take communists, Ayatollahs, left radicals, whether they all claim, and I assume most of them believe, or all of them believe, we try to help to other people, but it's not. So this is always my, I already asked this question a few times, and this is my major question, what I come to hear. So when we're doing something, how we know it's reflect good for people, not bad people?
Well, that's a great question. How do we know what we're doing is good or bad? And so I don't think this is making a judgment of, well, it depends on how what we're talking about here, but whether it's good or bad, it affects others.
Yeah.
Right?
I think nobody, well, probably most of people will not ask about it. Yeah, they agree with it.
Right. Our actions reverberate throughout the net. They send vibrations throughout the net. And sometimes those actions are good, and sometimes they're not good.
Yeah, but what's how we can measure it? What our tools to measure it?
Yeah, that's a great question.
We continue to do mistakes, but at least some tool to understand what we're doing, is it good or not?
Right. So
piece of bread. I give it piece of bread to really hungry person.
Right.
Or I give it piece of bread to the serial killer who will eat it, and now he have more power to go and kill somebody.
Right.
It's about right view, in my opinion. We all have these seeds of good and bad in us. So if you think about right view, please correct me.
No, go ahead.
We're gardeners of these seeds. And we need to water the right ones. And that way, when we have those right seeds growing in us, we'll know better how to help other people.
But how you know this is seed that's right, not a bad? That this situation, how you know your action bring to less suffer, not to more suffer.
That's a good question.
Because
I think just pause there. That's a good question. Just pause there. Just pause there. That's a good question. How do we know our actions are good or not good? Just pause there. I think that's good just to sit with that. Yeah.
It's the "are you sure" thing. That Thich Nhat Hanh talks about. He says, "Are you sure?" He said, "Put that on a sticky on your refrigerator."
The question, are you sure? Are you sure?
Are you sure?
Right.
So you can go ahead.
No, I agree with that. I was just thinking about the piece of bread to the hungry person or the serial killer. Like, you don't know, right? So if you give the bread to the hungry person, you've helped them and now they're not hungry anymore. Maybe your gift of bread to the serial killer will change his mind and see it.
yeah, maybe.
Right? You do not know. Maybe you should just give and live your life as best you can without caring what other people are going to do with your gift.
Yeah, because it's what
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
This is what everybody claims. This is a problem. Everybody claims. You take any radicals who did most horrible crimes. They will tell you, "Oh, but I want to give the best
Right.
for humanity."
So I think this is where Jikyo's question comes in, right? Just to say, are you sure? Right? I think he's saying the same thing as what you're saying. Are you sure? Are you sure that what you're doing is helpful or not? That's a way to be guided. We don't know. But I think it is a problem. What you're pointing to is a problem of surety, where people think I'm doing the right thing. Absolutely. But to have that question in the back of our mind when we're doing things, that helps to balance it out. Because the point is that we need to self-reflect. We don't know if what we're doing is, and that's what I mean. Yeah, to have that sense of surety is a problem. Good? Does that resonate? No.
Yeah,
Partially.
No.
Partially.
Because again, all these radicals who do this, they sure themselves. What they're doing, it's really, they need to do it. Now, people who stop them, who want to stop them, most of the time they have this question, are we sure we're doing the right things? So, you have the bad person, not the person, some bad idea or ideology, whatever, and they sure they need to do it. And you come and you say, hey, how we can stop it? And I'm not sure how to really do it without to create best result, not
right.
Because anyway in process somebody will harm, and this is kind of like you play just in one direction. They can hit you, but you can't really hit back and stop it.
Right. Well, yeah, it's tricky, and we can look at this also on a more local level, just within our own families, where there's difference of opinions about what's the right thing to do. And I've found myself being very strong-headed in certain things with my family and thinking, oh, this is going to do it, but having that question, are you sure? Or am I sure that's going to be the thing? That's a helpful balance. And I really can't I can't know for sure that my way of acting is going to be the best way. This can keep us, I think, more balanced with this.
It could be right one day and wrong the next.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be discerning to figure out when.
Yeah, so that's what we
How
call
to
it,
act in the situation.
and we call that upaya. Upaya means skillful means. So what works in one situation might not work in another. I remember, and that's where we get trapped and caught. And this is what led me to Buddhism in the first place. I was teaching at a 5th grade elementary school. I was teaching in an elementary school, in a Catholic elementary school. And I was just so frustrated. It was 5 months into the teaching program. It was my first year teaching school, like having my own classroom. And I had these 2 classes of about 30 students each. And I was 23 or 24 years old. I was myself not really that mature. And I thought that the way to get kids to listen was to yell at them and reprimand them. No joke, you know? And because that's what I saw growing up. That's what I had been in Japan the year before teaching English, and I saw that's how the Japanese did it. And I thought, oh, okay, well, you just, speak with a loud voice and everybody will fall in line. Well, I had another thing coming to me. But I started studying Buddhism in earnest by that time too. And so I would come back from these classrooms exhausted because I was spending so much time trying to get kids to pay attention that weren't. And these were only 10-year-old kids. And then I go to these meditation classes with a renowned Buddhist teacher, Tara Brach, and I started reflecting on my own mental state in these classes. This is like right out, a few hours after I'd been with all these kids. And then I realized I'm just coming at them with a bunch of fear and unresolved stuff in my own life. I'm not helping them out in any way. And that was hard for me to see. And then I had to integrate it back into the classroom. But I kind of tried a valiant effort at doing this. And I made this vow one morning in a class. I said, on the way to school, I was driving, it's like a 45-minute drive around the Beltway of Washington, D.C. And I was listening to a Dharma talk by Joseph Goldstein, and he is a serious sitter. He would just like talk about sitting and just watching, and like to the degree that it was just really profound to hear him. But I took from that I made this vow: I'm not going to say anything to these kids unless it comes out of non-fear. So I stood in front of the class, and I just noticed I had just all of this anxiety and fear welling up inside of me. It's just like there, and I was like, if I say anything right now, none of these kids are going to get what I want to share. So I just waited until my anxiety calmed down. And it didn't really quite calm down, but then all of the kids, after about 20 minutes of me just standing in front of the class, not doing anything, like a crazy person. Okay, if you can imagine, 5th grade class, I'm standing in front of the class like a crazy person, not saying anything. After months of continually yelling at kids to try to get them to behave. Standing there like a crazy person, just not saying anything. And then they looked up at me, like all at once, and they said, Mr. McCabe's not saying anything. And they all quieted down. I didn't do it, other than just standing there. They all quieted down, and then they were listening to me 100%. And I was like, wow, I didn't expect that at all. I was just waiting for me. But actually, it had an effect the opposite direction. And I thought, wow, okay. And then I started teaching. I said, okay, let's open our books to this page. And there was no anger. There was no punishment I was giving out. So I thought, this works freaking great. I'm going to do this for the next class. Well, guess what?
That didn't
It didn't work. I got in even bigger trouble with the next class. The first class told the second class what I was going to do. So I had to, but I wasn't adaptable. I wasn't flexible. And I ended up losing my job over it. I mean, that was part of the reason, but it was the best thing for me, because then that pushed me up to really study with my teacher. And I had to get to the bottom of this. I knew there was something more I was missing, and I just had to. And then I watched her teach, and I saw she made mistakes left and right with her, what she was doing. She also shined really brightly in the sense of, she was so compassionate with people, and she made this continuous effort to be really mindful herself. And so then I thought, okay, so it's really about disciplining myself, not about disciplining others. It's really about showing compassion to others. And I kept working, and I just saw, the gift of working with a teacher is that you get to see their mistakes. You get to see their good sides too, but you get to see their mistakes, and you can see, I know what I want to do, and I know what I don't want to do, because I see what they're doing, right? Anyways, I just say that because that's what I mean by skillful means. We need to have that skillful means. Not every situation is going to be the same. So, are you sure? Are you sure? But in either case, our actions have huge effects on others. And I could see that in the classroom too. In the case where silence brought them to silence, my own silence brought them to silence. But I could also see before that, what I saw was, when I was yelling at kids to try to get them to behave, I was creating a bunch of myself. I was creating a bunch of students that were yelling at each other. And they were just learning from how I was. I was the adult. They just learned from me how to yell. So either way you go, you can go either way. And what this Avatamsaka Sutra is saying, whatever we do, we have a huge effect. Whatever we do. Yeah. So, but it's also pointing us in the direction of cultivating our best self, because of the wideness of how our actions go, how widely our actions go. Yeah. Well, we're about at time here. Shall we close with the 4 vows? Let's do it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to master them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to realize it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to master them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to realize it. Shujo muhen segando. Bono mujin segandan. Homon mudyo segangaku. Butsudo mujo seganjo. All right. Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Navab. Thanks for being with us too. Be well. Take good care. Good night.